What's up, y'all? Once again, this is Macaulay Sexton of Sexton Sobriety, and today I want to talk about chronic pain and being an opiate epidemic survivor. We are currently in an opiate epidemic, not only with prescription medications, but with these research chemicals and analog versions of pre-existing drugs. So this is very sketchy. It's really not a good time to be addicted to opiates, and it never was, quite frankly. So my experience with opiate addiction basically was I sustained a spinal injury and was prescribed opiates. And this kind of created this justification. And when you get opiates prescribed from an authority figure like a doctor, it really enables you to continue taking them, even if you're abusing them. So there's something I want to touch on. Not every opiate addict starts off abusing the medication. There's a lot of blame being shifted to the addict from chronic pain sufferers. And it's really just demonizing the addict and blaming them for the regulation of opiates. And I want to touch on that. So opiates are being regulated because they've discovered that they're not efficient long-term treatments for chronic pain. Also, the huge influx of opiate prescriptions is directly related to Purdue Pharma and the way that they conducted themselves without integrity and incentivized sales reps and doctors to overprescribe opiates. We can literally look at that, and there's a direct correlation. I'm not saying this to shift blame or to shift responsibility. I have to take responsibility for every decision I've made in my life, and I've done that, and that's how I've been able to maintain over 7 years of clean time. But we need to look at the whole big picture. We do not need chronic pain patients demonizing drug addicts because they are flawed humans that have ruined it for everyone. That's just not the case. Basically, I do not think opiates are efficient long-term treatments, and I'm gonna say why. Your body starts to compensate and create more pain receptors when you take opiates long term. Another thing is that a lot of the side effects associated with opiate addiction are extremely dangerous. So, respiratory failure, really strong gastrointestinal issues, constipation, crazy stuff like that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are other more realistic, holistic approaches to chronic pain. At this point, I do not take any medications for chronic pain, but there's things out there like medical grade full spectrum CBD, like CBN, CBG, and in some extreme cases, even Delta 9 could be applicable. So I just wanted to say that there's all these different alternatives out there. And sometimes when someone is in that place of pain and seeking relief, it's almost like they're just not aware that there are other options, and they will kind of invalidate these other options because the opiates are so strong and euphoric. So basically, I persistently took opiates for years, and it was something that was a huge part of my life. And basically, I didn't see life without it. And so in early recovery, I had to take things like gabapentin and other, non-addictive, non-narcotic alternatives. And then I shifted to taking things like CBD. During this time, I also integrated chiropractic work, exercise, taking hot Epsom salt baths, and all this kind of stuff. So it's very possible to maintain and to treat chronic pain without opiates. And I just want to say that. I'm very grateful to be an opiate epidemic survivor because right now, it's just really bad out there with the fentanyl, the carfentanil, and all that stuff. And so people assume when I talk about opiate regulation that I'm someone who's never experienced chronic pain. And I can say literally right now, I'm having a flare-up of my spondylolisthesis, and this is on the right side of my back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch, I'll take a hot bath or a hot shower, and worst comes to worst, I go to the chiropractor or take some ibuprofen. So this is something that you can manage. And I just want to say that taking opiates is kind of selling yourself short. But a lot of people really get to this place to where they're like, I would rather, have a shorter lifespan and be numb on opiates than to have to really, do some hard work. And I understand that way of thinking because I felt the same way. So I'm very grateful to have the mental obsession of addiction lifted and the mental obsession related to pain, because that becomes a separate obsession. I was constantly talking about, I'm in pain. I have chronic pain. I'm in so much pain. I would tell anyone that would listen, I would get a pizza delivered and I would tell the pizza delivery guy, hey, man, I got hit by a car and I have chronic pain. So this becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. You're basically affirming this and you are putting that intention out into the universe, and that will manifest more pain for you. It sounds like some woo shit, but man, it's 100% valid. I want to talk about one more thing before I close. So there's this other aspect to pain that involves your mentality, and I was just touching on it. But like I said, when you are obsessing about the pain, when you are basically manifesting more pain, when you're focusing it, when your intention is to focus and your feeling is pain, and then your action is to take the opiate medication, it's basically a recipe for disaster. It's like setting yourself up for failure, because all you're doing is relying on this pain medication and you're not really doing anything else about it. I understand there's mobility issues with people and all that, and I'm not invalidating that. I'm just saying that the mental aspect is very valid. A lot of people see that as condescending and dismissive when you bring up the mental aspect to things like pain, anxiety, mental illness. But there's a huge aspect of that greatly affects you as a human being. We as humans are very resilient, and we can heal, we can recover, we can have a psychic change that affects us physically. So I really want to encourage that and just say that, you know, anyone can recover, anyone can heal. We can address chronic pain more realistically, and no one, in my personal opinion, is doomed to a life of opiates. Much love to everyone. Please be easy on yourselves.